So just like that, that is the end, that is the GG to Fate Kaleid Season 4. Until we wait for the eventual announcement of Season 5. But speaking of that, though, there was an announcement after this season of Fate Kaleid. And if you're unaware, I'm going to let you know. So apparently there was a movie announcement of the upcoming arc of Fate Kaleid. Yeah, a movie announcement. So apparently the next arc of Fate Kaleid is being turned into a movie. It's the so-called flashback arc that everybody's been hyping up for a while, and it is literally getting a movie. And in the trailer promo, like if you look at the promo trailer, you get to see the nice, well-renowned swords, the two blades that we see Archer use all the time in the cover promo of the trailer. It's like a 15-second, trailer. Doesn't really show enough. It's pretty much a still image. You hear a nice, good soundtrack, which I'm just gonna say real quick. Why the fuck could that soundtrack not be in last week's episode? Like, why couldn't that not be in the last week's episode? Like, what the fuck? Like, as I said about last week's episode, that was a trash episode. That really was a bad fucking episode. And I even talked about, the Archer theme and all that, the Emi Ashiro, and I'm like, what's wrong? Like, why couldn't they put a really good song, like, make it sound better? But when I saw this promo trailer, I'm like, why does this sound so much better than last week's episode song? I'm like, what the hell? Like, why couldn't they do that for last week's episode? But regardless, though, we're getting a movie. We are getting a movie for the next season of Fate Kaleid, and then eventually a season 5. So, this is a good thing in a way. I guess it'll have more time to be worked on, a better, budget, probably, a little bit of a different staff to work on it, which overall I feel is a very good thing indeed. Because if there's one thing we have learned from this previous season of Fate Kaleid, is that Silverlink is not really good when it comes to action scenes. Now, they have done a good job in the past with action scenes. I'm not going to deny that. They've done some good action scenes in the past. I'm not saying all their action scenes are terrible, but overall, though, I feel like at the very least using this, next season of Fate to be turned into a movie makes a little bit more sense, because it allows them to take more time and effort into it, allow them to focus on it, put more money into it, advertise it better. Just overall, it seems like a better plan than actually doing the every yearly season of Fate Kaleid. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to, the movie adaptation of Fate Kaleid, which will continue the series. Definitely gonna watch it, because I will say right now, regardless of how I felt with last week's episode of Fate Kaleid, with how trash it was when it came to some of the things, I still am gonna continue to watch this series, because I love Fate. I love the Nasuverse, so I want to see what's going down. I want to know more about the story, because if there is one thing, though, I like about the series, it is the story. I love the story of any type of Fate series, and I want to know more, so that's what drives me to continue watching this series. So yeah, movie announcement, very good stuff. I'm glad to see it was announced, and the promo trailer got me a little bit hyped. I gotta admit, I didn't, but I almost forgave Silverlink last week with that trash episode just for that promo trailer, which featured a little bit of a remix of the Emi Ashiro theme. I almost forgave them, but I haven't yet, because I need to see how the movie is before I make my assumptions, but still, the announcement comes at a perfect time. So enough of that. Let's talk about the finale of Fate Kaleid Season 4. So, this episode overall, it doesn't have a lot going down in it. It's more of I guess, an epilogue, a finale, or a precursor to more events in the future. And it felt like one of those type of episodes, or a slice-of-life episode that was just winding everything down and going back to kind of a happier atmosphere of Fate Kaleid. That's what the entire point of this episode was. It started off a little bit crazy and hectic and stuff, but then eventually it turned into more of a slice-of-life-ish type feel to it, especially with the ending conclusion with, Emiya, and also Miyu, Illya, and stuff like that. It kind of turned into a little bit more of a slice-of-life episode. And so, overall, though, the episode was a good way to kind of, conclude it for now and wait until the next season. I personally believe this was a better way to conclude this season of Fate Kaleid than the previous seasons, because the last two seasons, when it came to their conclusion, I wasn't the biggest fan of the finale episodes, because they just felt like, okay, it just ends like that. And so I'm glad, this season, kind of had a little bit more of a cliffhanger to it that felt a little bit right. I mean, just seeing Emi Ashiro about to explain what happened in the past about the flashback, and then it just, goes into the ending song, I'm like, oh, that's pretty hype. And then we get that movie announcement to know that the next arc is going to be turned into a movie, and it hypes me up even more. So, I mean, I do like the decision with the way this episode was kind of planned out. I understand the pacing of it and all that, but at the end of the day, though, the episode is very simple, and the way Imyashiro was saved was kind of to be expected. I mean, he was saved thanks to the same way as he was saved in Fate Stay Night. I mean, if you've ever watched Fate Stay Night, or if you've ever read the visual novel Fate Stay Night, you most likely know that the way Imyashiro was saved in this episode with the, the necklace, it was very similar to what happened in that series. And as always, Fate Kaleid is a type of series that tends to reference Fate Stay Night or other individual series of the Fate franchise, so it's not something that is entirely new. We've seen stuff like this before, so seeing Imyashiro get saved like that, it was to be expected, but it was a nice little touch. It was like a nod to, Fate Stay Night, which I am, appreciative of. But besides that, overall, the episode was just simplistic. I mean, there's not really much to dive into. I mean, there was cutesy little moments and stuff, just getting to see different sides of Miyu, how she was acting like a younger sister, but that's about it when it comes to this episode. I did enjoy it, however, and most likely, judging by the, interaction of Julius in this episode, is that the main goal he's seeking right now is to get the 2 Holy Grails. And as we know, if we all remember, Miyu is definitely a Holy Grail. That's already been confirmed this season. But you gotta remember who the other Holy Grail is. If you've seen Fate Stay Night and all that, and all this, which I'm just gonna dive into some spoiler territory, but just in case, I'm just gonna say right now, spoiler territory, but if you're unaware, Illya is also a Holy Grail as well. She is. And Kuro, I guess, since she was necessarily the inner workings of Illya, that she's technically the Holy Grail now. So, there's the 2 Holy Grails. You have it to where Kuro and Miyu are the Holy Grails, or Illya in general, and then, Miyu are the Holy Grails, and that's what Julius needs. He needs both of them to be able to make his wish. Remember, that's what was stated in this finale episode. So yeah, that's left up to speculation for now where that's going to go. Now, on the other front, though, let's talk about the entire stuff with Tonika and the sword. So Tonika, she's a sword. She's literally a flaming sword that can remove the muck that was trying to take over the world. For instance, just slowly corrupt the world with these corrupt heroic spirits. And I don't know how to feel about that, because, I mean, we know Tonika has been built up for a while. We know that she's incredibly strong. We know she's different. She's not a natural human being. We've seen differences with her, which, overall, the reveal of her having a sword as a hand or whatever, it makes sense thinking about it, because, I mean, if you go back to Fate Zero, if you've ever watched Fate Zero, or if you know what Avalon is, what happens with Excalibur and stuff, most likely you've seen something very similar to this, of how, maybe Excalibur, Avalon is put inside of, Emiya, or put inside, Kuritsugu's wife, Iris Phil. So, I mean, overall, the reveal of Tonika having a, a blade or something inside of her, it makes sense. It's something we have seen before, and it felt like, once again, another nod to that. But I feel like there's more to it than just that. Because, I mean, look, it was just her hand that was a flaming sword. It wasn't her entire body that turned into it. So, at the end of the day, most likely she has different stuff inside of her that encompass her body, which she could pull out and use. So, a lot of questions have been raised around Tonika's entire personality, or whoever she is, for her to be able to do something like that. And, I mean, I have some theories of what she might be, but I don't want to dive into that right now, because that would be way too spoilerish. But overall, though, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.